You versus you. That's all there really is. Now, in this video, it's going to be the most I will go in depth in a given video on a specific subject with so much action-packed information. Just know that there are about 40 things on this list. I don't even know how many, but there's going to be so many points of information here that you're going to want to listen to every single part of it because you don't want to miss that one part that might be your driver of change, that thing that you needed to hear. Now, this information, this insight, all of this was gathered up over years and years, a decade or more of my external effort trying to achieve enormous greatness in the world and the lessons that I've learned along the way. So each one of these, we're going to talk about in depth, and you will find one in here that will change your life. That's for sure, because they've changed my life. And it might not be in the ways that you expect. Money might not start falling from the ceiling, but you're going to start thinking differently. And it's that thinking differently that's going to lead to the big changes that you really do want in your life. Thinking differently leads to acting differently, leads to you being on a better path in your life. Now, Tim Grover, if you haven't heard of him, he was Michael Jordan's trainer. So Michael Jordan was already great when he got into the NBA, but he worked with Tim Grover, who took him to the next level. And Tim Grover was able to be obsessed about all the actions, the movements, and the thought behind Michael Jordan's training so that Michael could just go into that instinctual animal mode and perform. Now, I bring this story up first because there's a Tim Grover philosophy that if you're going through a list, number 5 is not 1/5 of importance of number 1. So he just numbers his lists all number 1. So think about that here as we're going through it, because again, one of these might be the one that does it for you, and it might be number 20 that we go over. But let's go ahead and get started. Number 1 is your greatest challenges are your greatest strengths. So what does this mean? If we demystify what that really means, it doesn't mean you should go against the grain and do things that you really do not enjoy. The key is about this is that if you have something that in particular that's holding you back, if you were to use that exact same energy in a totally different way, let's say a really positive outlet, and it gives you the same feeling or even greater on that positive side, because things that last, that durable happiness goes so much further than temporary happiness. And durable happiness is built from taking the right actions, doing them consistently. That's working out, eating right, working towards your goals, building a good marriage or relationship, and just taking those action steps over and over again are built on the right foundations. And those are what is going to bring you the greatest happiness in life, because it lasts not only today, but tomorrow and the next day and the next day. The thing you have to do, though, along the way is that if you're going in to do something like working out that you don't enjoy, then what you have to do is focus on the end result and what you're going to feel when it's done. But let's get back into the core piece here. Your greatest challenges are your greatest strengths. So if you have somewhere you're struggling, think about the feeling that whatever you're doing that's holding you back gives you. What need is it satisfying? Here is a fundamental assumption that you can utilize about yourself. This is a mind shift that will help you to think better about yourself. Realize that your brain works properly. It simply just needs better understanding of how to receive and achieve the results that it wants to achieve. And oftentimes that's to know and define very specifically, what do you want out of this part of your life? So, for example, use a personal example here. Your greatest challenges are your greatest strengths. Being out here and creating videos like this is one of my favorite things in the world, and it takes me to another level of energy. And I could use this energy in a different way that will be less productive, but when I use it here, it takes me to the next level, and I unlock things that bring me to another level of happiness. And there are things like that for you in your life, and that's really where you want to look. You want to look in the places and in the areas where you just have so much fun. If you want to, for example, and I said this in another video, get healthy, for example, what you want to do is think about something that's really fun, that you enjoy to do, that's active or gives you that benefit, and just focus on having fun, even if you only go do it for 10 minutes. So we're going to put that first part off. We're going to cap it off because I can go on that one forever. Let's get into the next one. This is invert. Go towards it. So if there's anything in life that you are resisting from or trying to go away from, invert your mind's focus. Because what your mind is trying to do is say, that's hurt, that hurts. I don't want to look at that. And I don't want to even go towards it. I want to go towards this. It's going to make me feel good right now. Feeling good right now is important. You want to have positive momentum and enjoy what you're doing and where you're going. But when you just look at in your brain, you actually pause for a minute, maybe 10, however long it takes, and you just look at what's causing you pain, and you allow yourself just to listen to your mind about this could go wrong, and I don't want that, and whatever's going on in your mind, and you just pay attention, and you don't respond, you're not reacting, you're not wrestling with those thoughts, you're just listening to them. What's going to happen is that at some point you're going to see a path through, you're going to see a door, which is, oh, here's what I actually want from the situation, and here's where I'm going to go next, and here's how I can solve that today. You ask yourself the question, what's a step that I could take today that would make this better? And if you're moving in that direction, that is the key. Just move forward one step at a time, one day at a time, 10 minutes at a time, like I said, or even a minute at a time. Moving in the right direction immediately improves your life. So next, look where to look. So this is a key component, which is, what do you really enjoy doing? We covered that a little bit in the beginning, but what do you really enjoy doing? Look where you know to look and go in that path. Because I'll use an example for that will help you contextualize this. So for me, I always wanted to go into programming and that sort of thing. And I just really don't enjoy it over the long term. And I was keeping to telling myself, I got to do it. I got to do this. And what in reality, what I was doing is I was ignoring my greatest strengths, which are in other areas. We'll just keep it simple. And look where you know to look. I always knew that I enjoyed doing these sort of videos and these sort of things, and communicating with people, capital raising, sales, development in terms of business, and all those sort of things. I love doing those things. They actually bring out the most joy in me. But just like the parable of the talents, sometimes we, for whatever reason, because we don't want to be out there in the world, it's like we all want to be appreciated and respected and have status, but there's a little bit of a barrier that we create between ourselves because maybe for whatever reason, we hide our talents, we put them aside. But in reality, if we just take whatever there is, that those things that we have, we look where we know to look, you look where you're really strong, and you just use that in a single way. And then tomorrow it's in 2 ways. And then tomorrow you're doing it 3 times as much. Then what's going to happen is you're going to be moving forward. And again, that is what life's all about. Momentum, gain the right momentum. The opposite of this, stop looking where you know not to look. So if you've tried something over and over and over again, and you really don't enjoy it, and you have no happiness, and your mind just goes into a wrong place, there's a bit of awareness that's required here for you to say, that's not going to get me where I want to go. And in fact, there are a lot of things that are more patently obvious that are attractive, but they aren't what you know for a fact that it's not going to get you where you want to go. So stop looking where you know not to look, and don't even go down those paths. Don't even begin to go down in that direction because you know where those things go. So that's where you have to create space and be willing to change whatever is blocking your path. Talk about path, talk about current, flow with your current. Go with where life and opportunity and your happiness, follow your bliss is another way to say this, flow with that current. When you flow with the current and you look for things that are higher, okay, I could have started this whole thing out too with saying, focus, first get goals, because when you have goals, again, it's all about going in the right direction first, then gaining momentum just a little bit at a time and getting it up to the point where you're moving so fast, you're just mind blown at the progress and the results. And if you do the things that are here and you find the key things that are here in this video that are going to give you that, you'll be so much happier in life. Absolutely guarantee it. So flow with your current, set a big goal, and then just flow with where the opportunity takes you and be open-minded to that. One of the concepts that could be applied here is that often taking more risk, or what is perceived to be more risky, can actually be the safer and better route if you change your perspective about it. Because we're told in life that the more risk you take, the more reward you get. There's truth in that. But the fact is that it depends how you look at risk. Because if you look and you expand out, not what would be risky now, today to tomorrow, but what's risky between who I really want to be and where I'm at or where I'm going, what's the risk of not changing? Start there. If you understand the risk of not changing and you really look at, okay, if I just did this for the next 15 years, who and where would I be? And you look at that and you go, oh, that's not the brightest future. Then you can re-look back at the other options in your life. That what if you started a business? What if you got married? What if you, whatever that action is or set of actions, then you can start to appropriately assess risk. So let's get to the next one. When you raise your game, you will find yourself interacting with people in a brand new way. And that is one of the key things that we do when we're holding ourselves back, is that we stop interacting with people and stop getting the joy and the benefit that comes from the greatness that is human interaction and learning from people and just talking and just expressing yourself and letting others express themselves and receiving others and offering guidance or help where you can. When you raise your game and you hold yourself to a higher standard, you're going to unlock those positive experiences and you're going to say, wow, that person's so different. I can't believe we had such a great conversation or that thing just happened. And guess what? It's because you're on a higher level and you're bringing more value to their life. They're bringing more value to yours. And these are the sort of things that just makes life flow much better. So next, doing it right is what happiness is really all about. So here's what I mean. Touched on this a little bit, but it's that long-term happiness. When you find yourself doing it and you model and find somebody who's achieving a great amount of success in their life, and what happens is you learn how to do it right and you get really good at something, you're going to find so much happiness because it's a happiness that you control. It's a happiness that you wake up in the morning, and whether you get up at 4 in the morning or you're a late person and you get up at 3 p.m. and that's how you start your day, that it doesn't matter. Your happiness is not attached to you need to be at this time or that thing or that experience. When you just have something that you could do 24/7, no matter what, doesn't matter what day it is, if it's cold outside or if you're tired or if you're angry, if you have something that you can do really well, that will bring out so much joy in your life. And you may know what those things are. You may have things that you want to go develop. I want to add a note here. When I mentioned about programming, about me finding that it's not my greatest asset or skill, doesn't mean that's forever. Definitely not. But the key thing I want you to realize is that it might be totally different for you. That might be your zone of genius. You might find yourself going up against that resistance in your mind and seeing that as a better way for you. There's a lot of people who go to school and learn and do different things at different ages, far late into their life. And so you have that opportunity and the potential to do that as well. So this is where we're just going to cut right here in the sense of take a pause in our brains and just think about you specifically and start to analyze yourself. And I want to install this little piece here. There's so much irony and paradox that occurs in life. So if you're finding things are upside down for you, then that's something just for you to understand and to analyze and look at where your next step is. So that's the next key we'll get into. Just take your next step. If you can define a goal and then define your next step and plan out what's in between there, that is going to set you on a train of happiness. In our brains, when we've set a goal that we're excited about and that we have belief that we're able to achieve, and we see a path there, your brain, your dopamine levels actually increase. You're genuinely going to feel better. There will be a period of time in that beginning where you're clearing through the old patterns, the old habits, the things that were going on. And now when you just stay consistent, you don't react, what's going to happen is you are going to find yourself moving faster and faster. So I will tell you about a trip that I went on once that was to a Vipassana meditation retreat. So this is a 10-day silent retreat where you don't talk to anybody, right? Of course, silent. And you eat twice a day, these very little meals within 6 hours. So you're fasting majority of the day. And what's the hardest part? The thing is, you're meditating for about 10 to 12 hours a day. You're doing that for 10, 11 days straight. You can't use your phone. There's no electronics like that. And it's just you. Imagine that. You're surrounded by people, but you can't talk. So the key concept in that, to save you the 10 days or the years of agony is what it felt like, but it was an awesome experience. But to save you all that time and to derive a really great benefit out of it, it talks about not reacting to the things in your life. And that's exactly how you have to shift your perspective along your way when you're making any change or you're going towards any goal, because that is what you're really after. This is one of the most important things I've said in the whole video. That's what you're really after. You want that just state of consciousness and awareness where you feel good no matter what. Something happens, you're going to find a good benefit in it, or you can find a benefit in it right away. And to mention Michael Jordan here again, because he's a tremendous individual. We'll talk more about tremendous individuals later, but this is what he made a pattern and a habit of. Even when he lost his father in a terrible circumstance, what happened, he said, hey, here's the positive. Now my dad can see me up from heaven. He can watch the game from heaven. It was during a playoff series. And that was what he derived from, because he always made the effort to find what was good in something. And so finding what's good is not the same, though, I will say, as not reacting, but they are twins. They're paired. So when you experience a circumstance, whether it's extremely positive or extremely negative or right in between, or you're literally just bored, if you stop reacting to those things and it's just a level in your brain that you go into, it's not, okay, I'm consciously going to stop reacting to everything, because that's not going to work. It's really just a place of centeredness and patience where you breathe and you find your way. You hear it, you realize you'll be able to feel it, because your emotions won't go up, they won't go down. You can experience those things, but you'll find a steadiness. And when you have that steadiness, that's what you're after. Because why you want a lot of money, why you want to be in great health, why you want to have a great relationship is because those are the feelings it's going to give you. It's, oh, this is good in my life. It's consistent, it's growing, and it's getting better. And that is more of a setting in your own brain. That's where it begins. That gets you there. So let's get on to some other points. So it is about the journey. The journey is, and this goes right along with what we're just talking about, the journey is the most rewarding thing. There's a lot of people who they go out and they say, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds, and they make it just about losing the weight, and they feel good temporarily, but they don't make the change and they miss the journey along the way, or they actually just made themselves miserable along the way. If you can find the way and the things, the actions, the way that you can live that you really enjoy, then you already won. And that's the whole point of life, is that you just enjoy the journey along the way. You get those goals, you achieve the things, and you be good to people, and you experience a great life. But when you're just present in the moment, you can find, hey, whatever happens, I'm happy. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happier. I'm going to find out good things. Doesn't mean I'm never going to be sad or angry or have emotions. Emotions are important. And actually, they're your fuel to take actions, to change, to grow, to love, to do all those important things. But when you just find that the journey is going to bring you experiences, people, circumstances, and events, which are going to bring you towards the thing that you want or help you clarify what you do want, you're going to find that is the reward. No, so next, let's get into some of the more tactical, which is daily, real applicable things that you can get into. This one is a game changer, and that's have ridiculous grace for yourself. So if you're moving towards a goal and you are fighting against, it is just true, you will be fighting against things that are challenging. That's the whole purpose of the thumbnail. There is a you versus you dynamic that is going on here, where there are parts of you that are going to want to, hey, let's go out to the bar tonight or whatever. That's just an example. And when you have grace for yourself, that is so much better, I promise you. So if you are like, yeah, I'll go out to the bar tonight, and tomorrow I'm still going to get up at the same time, I'm going to go hit the work, I'm going to go do the principles, execute on the things that I said, and I'm going to have a drink or whatever that is, and you find that place and you just have grace for yourself, that is what gives you stability. It's another one of those things, because for so many years I'd be going and I'm saying, I'm going to do this thing and I'm never going to do this again, and this is what I'm going to do. And then what happens is you even just think about doing the thing that you said you're never going to do, and now you're in a negative spiral. And that is not how you get out of being where you don't want to be. How you get out of being where you don't want to be is you go, yeah, there's going to be times where it's going to be hard. There's going to be temptations. There's going to be things that are difficult, that are going to want to derail me, but I'll be ready for them. And in fact, if I even slip up, that's all right, because I realize It's about my difference between where I was a week ago, 10 years ago, whatever that time frame is. Just framing it appropriately is going to give you the opportunity. But then there is a practical nature, which is grace. And grace is, okay, this one time, better than how I was doing it before. Great. Now I'm going to improve. And again, if you just get down, we'll talk about this, the pattern of greatness. We'll just jump right into it, actually. If you just find that pattern of greatness that you could do for not, this is a key concept here. Don't think about a pattern of greatness that you can do for a week or a month or 3 months. Think about 10 years. Think about a decade. Think about 15 years. If you could literally do the same thing every single day and get to where you want to be, engineer from that perspective first. That's your true goal, is to get into a place where you could do the same thing that you really love and enjoy every single day for the next 10 years and go and live your dreams and have your goals achieved and feel awesome. And when you do this, you will absolutely transform your life instantaneously. This is the most important thing. I might have said that already, but this is so important as well, is when you find your pattern of greatness, think about in terms of decades. And even to find your pattern of greatness, think about it in terms of decades. They go right around in a circle together, because when you think about something that you can do consistently over the course of 10 years, and you think, I'm going to take the actions today and I'm going to move forward towards what I want. But if, this happens, well, I'm going to just keep on going because I'm thinking about doing this for 10 years, not for a month. That is the greatest shift of mine that I've found recently, is you start something up. All right, I'm going to do this for a month. And guess what happens? By a week, you're like, wow, I got 21 days left. My goodness, I'm almost part way there, but oh my goodness. But if you're thinking 10 years, you're like, all right, I've done day 7, times it by 10, and then times it by 10, and then times it by 5. And there you go. Now you're at 10 years. And when you think that way, stability, that's what it's about, moving forward. So we touched on this one earlier. Model others who are doing it really well, but don't just go find somebody who is a ultra mega successful person who has nothing in common with you, who has never went through your background, who isn't doing the same things that you are. You can learn from those people 100%, but find others who are doing it really well, even if it's just at a little bit higher level than you. Because what's the core principle of this whole video? Move forward consistently. If you move forward consistently, even incrementally, incremental improvement executed consistently becomes exponential improvement. And all of a sudden, you're so much happier because you're doing well in various areas of life with minimal effort and minimal loss, maximal gain and opportunity. So model others who are doing it really well. If I'm going to give you the best thing that I've learned about modeling, that would be the foundation of it. But if I were to add another, I would just keep it one area at a time. If you can just think about, hey, I want to improve today in what is that key area that you want to grow in or that you need to grow in? If it's your finances. So if it's your finances, you pretty much need to grow in that area. Or if it's your health, maybe you're in the other situation. You have a ton of money, but your health is poor. Go and just focus on that and put the other things on autopilot and just allow your level of what you are really good at. So if we look at life as that spectrum, health, wealth, love, happiness, whatever area you want to put in there. Again, if you're thriving in wealth, but your health is bad, if you just go focus 100% on your health and you find people who are really good and that can benefit you and you're taking aggressive, positive action in that area, realize you're likely already conditioned or patterned, or if you are a business owner or something like that, or various places you could be in where your business is already running and you just need to put that input in here, like the amount of input to get the output is much lower in your business, for example, if you're already thriving there. But in your health, just go full focus and be relentless on that, because it will then benefit the decisions that you make in your business or the way that your relationship works if you follow that sort of thinking and model. So this one goes along with it. Learn from others, but we're going to go and take it to the next step. Learn everywhere and learn all the time. So Kobe Bryant had such a great quote, and that was his purpose in life. Number one purpose is to become a better basketball player. So if he was at Applebee's, he would be thinking about how he could become a better basketball player. And he would be, for example, easy, low-hanging fruit, basketballs on the TV. He's watching it and he's in the conversation. He's eating his food or whatever. but he's learning and he's seeing things on that basketball game that he's like, oh, that's right. Or yes, okay. Or he learned something, or I've never seen that before. But then also in other areas of life, he's reading a book and they talk about how resilience is so important. And he's thinking about things that he's done in his basketball career that have exemplified resilience, or things that he could be doing, or areas that he can improve. He could be reading a book about physics, but it's talking about structural resilience in infrastructure. And he's applying that because that's where his outcome is optimizing for. So learn everywhere, learn all the time. The key thing is here is to just know what you really want. And that's an inward perspective that you got to go in and figure that out. Next, ask. If you need help, ask. If you want support, ask. If you want to grow your business, ask. If you want to learn more about yourself, ask yourself. Like I was just mentioning, where do you want to go? What's your purpose? What are your goals? What are you doing? You're asking. There's two paradigms or two poles of this. You have your asking and you have your giving, or your question and your answer. Realize that you're going to operate on both, but you think about asking though as well, because many people just don't ask. So next one, open yourself up. This is a hard one for a lot of people. In fact, I'm still growing in this area, I'll say, but open yourself up and realize that everything's going to be okay. And if you just are yourself and you just go for it. So yourself is literally, I know people are like, well, who is myself? What is myself? What does that even mean? That's so broad. But you know who you are, and you have awareness. If you just ask yourself, where am I missing? Where am I holding back? Where's my fear? And you just open yourself up to just go for it in circumstances that bring that up, you're going to move forward. But also just to other people, be willing to receive other people who want to help you, and look for those people, because that is such an important key component of life. So next, treat others around you really well. This is something about you and the way you interact with others. Just think about how you can over deliver and create experiences that people are thankful that they knew, that they talked to you that day, or that they engage with you, or that they brought you something. Just treat others around you really, and put yourself out of the need for receiving. Because if you take yourself out of that loop and you just focus on what am I giving, you are going to receive more. So it's that paradox, to bring that up. It is a paradox that when you just focus on giving to others, you're pretty much going to receive more naturally, because others are going to want to go, hey, so by the way, how can I help you? And this is so key. I'm excited for you to apply this one because it works. Next, forgive yourself and just forget about it, not ignoring, focusing. So there's one thing to say, this thing's not going right, or this didn't go right, and you just ignore it. That is a surefire way to pain, because it will resurface again. But if you forgive yourself, say, you know what, can I move forward? Ask yourself that question. Can I live the rest of my life knowing that this happened? If the answer is yes, then let's move forward and learn the lesson. Because when you learn the lesson, that's when you learn the gold. And that is actually one of the hardest things, I promise you. It's to learn the lesson. If there's something that you want to achieve or overcome or do or have, there's things that are low-hanging fruit or things that are easy to learn. There's other things that are more introspective, that are about you, where you have to look inside and use that inversion principle, go towards what you fear, and really stay there and realize that when you're applying these things, it won't be magic overnight. Let's say you just applied all of these right away overnight. First off, that'll be hard because there'd be a lot of change going on at once. But if you were able to just really take the time on a regular basis to introspect and don't ignore, learn the lesson. If you find the lesson, go find where you can apply the lesson and channel yourself, channel your energy on to that goal, whatever challenge you're overcoming. Next, challenge yourself in a way that generates consistency. So here is one that was maybe similar to one of the ones earlier, but you want to set up the foundations or your goals, your pattern of greatness in a way that helps you to succeed on a regular basis. So if your goal is to do, let's say, first off, think about what your goal actually is. Again, to get into that, is your goal to do a certain amount of activities, or is your goal to achieve what those activities would bring? Then find a way which you can engineer a plan that you can do something, whatever that is, every day. Find a way that you can do it every day, and that you could always succeed again, no matter what. And if you set yourself up for success, you're going to build positive momentum. And over time, you'll find yourself over delivering or being able to do it so well that others can do it as well. So you can train somebody else to do it. And if you do that, you will genuinely create happiness. And when you're happy, you're going to move forward. Next, look for what is right in front of you. So if there's an asset or an opportunity, one of the best questions, or if you're trying to overcome a challenge, one of the best questions you can ask yourself are, what are my assets? What can I do? What are the tools that are at my disposal, the actions that I can do today that will move me towards that goal? That alone will save you so much headache rather than focusing on what you don't have, where you can't go, what's missing, or what have you. You're just going to say, this is what's right in front of me. I can do these actions. And if I keep these actions consistent over a long period of time, I'm going to have the result that I want. Mental model to change your life. All right. Next, bob and weave. Sometimes in life, you are going to be going up against resistance. You're going to be fighting. Bob and weave. Just realize it's just part of life. And when you realize, and when you learn to love the bob and weave, things aren't that bad. Next, draw the line. So right now, this is the most actionable at the moment. Draw the line, and then what's your line where you're like, I can't go below this anymore. Start there and take and set yourself up, say, I can't go below this anymore, whether it's in your work, you have to produce this much, you have to, be this person to your kids or for your kids or for your wife or whoever. Draw the line and start there. Draw that bare minimum line, like, here's where I really want to be. And if I did this consistently, I'll move forward. With that line, you set the foundation, and setting the foundation is as much strategic as it is and mind thinking as it is acting. It's gonna be informed by the thinking, but then you're gonna want to structure it and realize how you can utilize your time, because everybody on the planet has the same amount of time. They have the same number of hours in a day, but they're using it differently. They're using it in ways that are allowing them to access and gain leverage. That's the key difference. Whether it's, here's the 4 forms of leverage: content, code, capital, and collaboration. Learn that from another YouTuber. So those things give you the opportunity to take yourself and duplicate and multiply yourself. That is something to think about. Next, slow is smooth is fast. We'll use the parable of the tortoise and the hare here. It took me, let me think, 21 years, I'd say, at least, from when I finally got experientially the tortoise and the hare. And I think when we are growing up, that our schools and the people who draw the hare are doing a disservice, because they make the hare look so much cooler. And everyone is like, oh, they want to be the hare because the tortoise looks weird, it looks silly, and it looks old. And the hare's got Nikes on and he's moving fast and those sort of things. You want to be the tortoise. And this goes back just to figure out what you can do consistently and not drop. Because start from the foundation, always hit the foundation. And then you'll find days where you do double the foundation and you're just going to feel even better. And then maybe you can raise your standard, but just figure out something you can do every single day, which moves you forward, and feel good about it. No matter if it's 1 step or it's 20 or it's 1,000, be the tortoise. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Here's another example. Mr. Beast, he has been making content for 10 years now, right? Or more. And if you look at his early growth, the first years were pretty minimal in terms of engagement, viewers, and those sort of things. But he kept going over time, to the point where now he has hundreds of millions of followers. He's the most followers in the world. And he just did the same thing over and over consistently, found what he loved, and did it again and again. So next, literally, effort does so much. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that I am just really mind blown that I didn't learn this when I was younger. And that is that effort does so much. If you want to be awesome at something, effort and belief do so much. And effort creates belief. I'll give you an example of where I got my mind blown just, I think it was 2 weeks ago. So the Minnesota Vikings, were playing the Eagles, and Boston Scott is 5'6", 200 pounds, and he's a running back in the professional leagues in the NFL. He is the same height as me. He's about 30 more pounds, and he's a professional football player in the NFL. So here's where that blew my mind, is because I really love football. Football's awesome. Love watching it. But there was just there was the non-belief where I was like, no, I couldn't play professional football. And that significantly decreased my ability to dream in that area. Now, was I meant to play professional football? I don't know. But guess what? There's somebody who was with my exact same build. I could put on 30 pounds of muscle for sure. If I was just working out consistently and a professional football player and been focusing on that with maximum effort, not thinking about what I don't have or where I'm not at or where I couldn't be, then I could be there. And that's really interesting because we have, and Earl Boykins is another one in terms of the NBA. He was even shorter than me. I think he was 5'3", and he was playing against the tallest guys in the world. We're talking about 7-foot people, and he's dribbling in between them. So you have to realize effort does so much. Effort is happiness. Effort is where the happiness is created, because when you put the effort in, guess what? You're going to get better at it, and you can be. So those were just some mind-blowing things that I experienced. Effort does so much, guys. I really can't say this enough. You can think about and look at The Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck, and how the real difference between people who are enormously successful, people that aren't, is their ability to just continuously execute and have a growth mindset. And when they look at something, they're not thinking, I'm not good at this, so I'm not going to do it. And hey, if you see things where you don't find that it's your best area of focus, doesn't mean you have to go and conquer that. But what it does mean is that you can grow, especially if it's an area that's really important to you and you really do want to grow. Effort does so much. Next, we're getting down there. Give it your all as much as you can. So give it your all just means to be present. Focus on doing it over the long term consistently, but just give it the best that you can. And then take it a step further and do what is required, because you're going to, if you have a great goal and you're going up against something, you're going to come into an opportunity where you have to grow and you have to change, where giving it your all, you have to realize, like, by giving your all more and more effort, for example, your all becomes better. And what happens then is that's where you start to unlock the growth that makes human beings happy. So a couple more here. Be loved and give. Love, be loved. A lot of people struggle with this, whether it's one way or the other, whether it's receiving love or giving love. We all have experiences that we've had in our life that might have taken us from one direction or the other, but we have the power right now to change that and to make decisions which bring joy to our life and to others. So you can actually do it. You are worth it. You actually can do it. And that is the thing. Just be willing to put in that work and not think about what's going to happen in a month or 2 months negatively. That is, think about what can go right positively and just persist. So in all intents and purposes, you can probably do it. So go for it. And by going for it, you're going to move in the right direction. And even if, it's a great saying, even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. That's what life's all about. You just gave it your best. You did what was required, and you overcame, and you grew, and you lived a happy life. Last two, change your attention. Start to rehearse the good. So your brain wants to go back and say, remember this thing didn't go right? Or remember how challenging that was? It's trying to protect you. It's trying to guide you. It's trying to help you learn. But start, if you can, to pause for a moment and start to rehearse the good and the successes that you experience in your life. This is not magic, I will say, but it does work over time if you have that long-term mindset. So finally, whatever it is, start now. Go ahead and get at it. Just start now. What is your next best step? Take it right away. Comment down below which one of these did it for you. Which ones have you learned that you want to share with others? And I really look forward to reading those. I'll see you guys in the next video.